Good morning, you beautiful patriots. I hope you guys are doing pretty good today. I want to react with a little bit of Vann from LFR family, and he's an amazing patriot. He came from Democratic side over to the right, and he's going to be looking at Jordan Pederson. And then I got to bring you into some Styx Hexenhammer that's going to explain what's really going on with the J6 stuff. So just hang out. We're going to try to keep it short, sweet, and simple. Let's check out Vann first. And I have to just say, one of my favorite dudes. I mean, he's been doing it way longer than I have as far as daily stuff. I wish I would have found him earlier. But let's hear what he has to say, reacting to Jordan Pederson a little bit here.
More technologically powerful all the time and very, very quickly. And so that means we better get better fast at the same time.
This is cool. I came across a video of Jordan B. Peterson, right? And it's called Why Do Conservatives Keep Losing? And y'all don't keep losing, but as of late, y'all been losing your ass off.
He ain't lying. The Dems come at you, not with just pitchforks, and flaming arrows, man. They come at you nuclear. So we have to step our game up. And I like to say I'm still central right, but the Constitution's getting stepped on. And I believe that's what he's even talking about right here. We got to, whatever they throw at us, we got to throw three things back.
And it seemed like y'all don't speak the same language of what's going on around here. Y'all need to sell out. Y'all hey, and I don't mean that. Don't sell out. Stick to your guns. Only thing that's going to happen is, though, they're building up teams of individuals who are willing to play the game. And until, people start to understand how serious this is and that the country is getting weaker by us constantly selling out and not holding people to account, listen, it's going to continue to go that way because everyone seems to be so self-serving nowadays, man. So self-serving.
And 100% right here, and I agree with that. We're going to find out from Styx coming up just how, if you want to talk about sending Casey up to bat in the ninth, I have to believe that the Dems, the left, whatever you want to call them, our Congress, our president, they're doing stuff right now so in front of us that it's going to get Tucker fired because he's actually a patriot at this point. He's no longer a voice. So I don't know if he's going to get fired, but I don't know if he's going to get fired. We're going to see where Fox Nation is all about.
And I need to stop saying S words because it's I can hear it so loud, man. It's like I need to relax with that.
Get your act together, right? You be a shining light on the hill for your faith. And then that's how you win, and we shouldn't even be thinking about winning in some real sense. We should be thinking about how to make things better. And so the conservative question is...
That's right. That's right. That's right. We're always thinking about winning. Thinking about like how we can add to something more productive. How we can move everything forward.
And with that, I have to say you got to get a system. You have to look at the system we got now, and you got to get in there like a mechanic, and you got to look what is good for the nation down to the lowest person on the totem pole, and collectively get it back to where our nation is strong. Whether it's technology, class, race, I really don't even think we got to think about that. I'm tired of hearing about the first person to do the first thing for their race. We're the human race. We're the American race now. Does anybody ever... I consider myself today, my race is American. How's that sound? I am an American. So I'm going to play a little bit more, and then we're going to move to Styx.
Daily Wire is running
Oh, no, we're
residents
not.
For sale.
Sorry about that.
40% off new annual memberships. The big...
How could we be more effective at making things better
Note to self, I got to get YouTube red. Sorry, YouTube, I didn't get it yet.
than those who don't abide by
Much
the
love,
traditions
TS.
we regard as valuable? And that's the real question. It's very, very difficult to sort that out. One of the things, I didn't know that I was a conservative before everybody started telling me that I was, but
Most
Apparently I am.
find out, yeah.
So, and one of the benefits of that is that there are conservative stories that are quite compelling, and they haven't been told well for quite a long time.
Oh, perfect.
And one of the, maybe the core story that's compelling on the conservative side is something like that meaning and responsibility are integrally linked. And
Yes.
that's not a story that's been well told in our culture for at least since the mid-60s.
Reciprocity. Look that word up. I'm going to try to do that way more often than ever. Reciprocity.
It's just not told at all. And I've noticed that that story has a universal impact on the audiences that I've been addressing, to walk people through the notion, for example, that if you find yourself in dire straits at some point in your life, that one of the arcs that you might have managed to build yourself will be constructed of the social relations made possible by the people for whom you took responsibility.
Okay.
And everyone understands that as soon as you lay it out. It's like, well,
Okay.
of course, that's going to be the case, obviously. Right? If you have been a credit, if you have conducted yourself credibly in the eyes of the people you've interacted with, the probability that they're going to be hungry for the opportunity to reciprocate is very, very high.
He said
And so
reciprocate.
one core conservative message
Reciprocity.
is something like meaning through responsibility. And that's a very, very deep message. I mean, that's the idea of bearing your cross. It's the same idea.
Amen.
You know, as a reactor, as a content creator, as someone who review other people's content, and like just introduce my supporters with something to something that I came across that helped me, or I came across that I believe is going to bless someone else. When I present these things to you, I like to stop them in the middle of what's being said or what I'm learning in real time and start talking about it. But when I'm hearing Jordan B. Peterson speak, and he's always so professorial when he's speaking, it's very difficult to jump in there and interrupt him, if that makes any sense. So I'm only saying that to say this. I will try to break it up and still, and say what I need to say when I'm listening to Jordan B. Peterson speak. But I'm actually just tied. I'm fully engulfed in what he's saying.
This is, and we're going to move on. God bless you, Vann. I totally appreciate your channel. I beg of anybody on the left or right to check out Vann. The link's going to be in my description below. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, ding dong that bell for me. Send this thing out. And also follow Jordan Pederson, whether it's on Twitter. LFR Family's on Twitter too. You can find that. But to hear what this gentleman just said is exactly what I'm doing. Now I'm finding things that interest me, of course. But I'm also trying to find other people that are becoming interested in what other people have to say that they may not have had in their feed. And for Vann to come straight out and tell you that he's not going to comment quite yet because of what this man's saying, that's brilliant, because you have to absorb it. So anyway, thank you, Vann. It'll be down there in the description. Now this is Styx. I love him to death. There's times I get 50-50 with him, but I can't usually disagree with him. Sometimes I'll get a little 50-50 and say I'll have to think about that. But wait to hear how he breaks down J6 pretty quickly. And I suggest you follow Styx too. All right, here we go.
All right, everyone, now we have to talk about the J6 committee, J6 footage, Tucker's release the other day, etc. Link in the description, archived, of course. A stunning admission by one of the heads of the J6 committee, Benny Thompson. Benny Thompson coming out, and when queried about this, and CNN were the ones querying him, so he's not going into hostile territory. He's not talking to Sean Hannity or something like that. He's He's not on my live stream. He's talking to CNN. They work openly with the Biden administration. He has
Boy, nobody would survive if they debated him from the left. Nobody. He would destroy them.
nothing to gain by admitting this. Admitting that the committee members themselves didn't even review J6 footage. So they weren't the ones actually even looking through the video evidence, so-called, that was being heavily edited and negating exculpatory material, etc., etc. We'll get into that before it went out for public consumption. Wasn't the J6 committee convened specifically because you said there was an insurrection? You're claiming that there was an attempt to overthrow the U.S. government.
He forgot to add deadly insurrection. And if you look at every news channel on July 7th January 7th or January 6th at night, they already, all of them across the board, already said, oh, here's what we're going to do. We'll call it the deadly insurrection. Especially that the cop didn't get hit with an extinguisher. And God rest his soul. But they still don't really know how he died. I've heard stroke. I've heard, getting hit in the head with an extinguisher.
So you're not claiming, hey, this was a protest that got out of hand. There was a riot, a lot of vandalism, trespass, etc. There were acts of violence there. We don't need any further footage for that. We watched it live. I saw cops getting beaten to the ground, and I saw windows being broken and doors smashed through. It was a riot. That's not in question. What's in question is whether there was an organized coup attempt of any significant level. We know that a handful of the people there had ill intent. They did want to be violent. They did see themselves as some sort of revolutionaries or something, which was stupid. And you'll remember that I warned clankers to stay away from the events going on that day.
Yes, you did.
There was a reason for that. It was not difficult to tell what the fuck was going on. We never got the J6 committee informing us, hey, by the way, the Capitol Police, explicitly under the command of the leaders of Congress at the time, were effectively stood down. That even during those events, Pelosi wasn't willing to send in the reinforcements.
Now, just so you know, Pelosi's daughter was there that exact day, full-blown news cameras, or not news cam, documentary setup. So she was already there. Now, we don't know the exact intentions, but it was awfully convenient to have a daughter there, and you're in charge of making sure the place is safe, from the federal protection to the Washington D.C. police protection to even the on-site protection of the security. And it failed. And who was in charge of that? All the way right up to Nancy Pelosi, with a daughter doing camera work. Now, there's about 3 or 4 ways to get in, and it seemed like there was like one major area that was a very violent, breaking and entering, all that stuff. But these films that came out were literally not even police getting down on their knees and begging, I'll let you through, I'll let you through. No, it was police just opening the door. People were walking through. They got overhead cams looking down on people. And then you, of course, got, the guy with the horns, the shaman, and he got railroaded. Even to me, to be honest, it looked like he was the leader. From what I saw the first day to the first month, it really looked like he was the leader. But he was praying, and he was, reading Donald Trump's president's tweets to everybody, stand down and go home. This isn't right. And he's on his bullhorn, literally reading it. Now I just saw footage that he actually called into the FBI. So back to Styx.
For an extended period of time, so we didn't hear that. We didn't get any of the footage of Sicknick walking around alive and well towards the end of the riots. We were told instead that he was killed by the people there. He died 2 days later. He did not die at the Capitol riots. We've gotten no closure with regards to Ashley Babbitt, other than the fact that most of the Uniparty has stood up and gave a round of applause for the officer who shot her. We didn't get footage of the QAnon shaman getting...
And you should hear about the guy that shot Ashley Babbitt. Really not the very best to have a gun and protect in the Congress Hall.
Around by the Capitol Police, and here's the thing. The timeline that they're now pivoting to in the wake of the new releases here is basically, well, they were so overwhelmed that they just decided to throw up their hands. They guarded the people, the Congress people inside, and formed like a defensive barrier. Outside of that, they figured there's too many people to deal with. Unless we want to literally massacre them, we're just going to have to play nice and let them do the vandalism thing. We'll get them on charges later. That's the new cope that they're going with.
Yeah.
I actually believe that for the purposes of the DC cops that were there, that's actually true. They were overwhelmed, 50 to 1 or thereabouts. Yes, it made
Maybe
no
more.
sense to start shooting up the U.S. Capitol, and so for the most part, effectively they realized that we're just going to get beaten down and killed anyway if we do anything, particularly at the moment. Trump's calls for reinforcements were unheeded,
Yes.
by Pelosi specifically.
Yes.
Nobody's asking that
Yes.
question, by the way.
Yes.
And so they were giving tours effectively. At that time, and here's why a lot of the people that were at the Capitol that day have not faced charges, once the doors have been open and the police are
This is important. Listen.
waving people into the building, am I trespassing any longer if I'm effectively being invited into the building? Unless I have done something prior, so I participated in the actual breaching of the building.
Right.
I participated in sparring with cops out front. Once the cops have stood down and stood aside, and they've simply decided to wall off, with a meat shield, basically, the interior of the Capitol.
Incidentally, too, I do believe I saw footage that before any of the breaching, there was tear gas used, and that kind of, I don't know if that, whoever made that decision, I don't know if it was, I'm not them, I'm not mind reading, but in my opinion, doing tear gas to 100,000 people, and you're undermanned, underwomaned, or whatever, under personnel, that doesn't seem like you're going to settle people down. I don't know. I mean, effectively, they could have maybe just got boxes of red hats and handed them out to people that didn't have a red MAGA hat. I don't know, but sending in, I swear I saw it. I have to double check that. But I believe prior to all the nonsense and the evil, the breaking in, because I don't believe we should have done that. I do believe there was actors, but that's a different video. But I don't think throwing in canisters of tear gas helps a problem when you're underwhelmed or overwhelmed, undermanned.
While the rest of it is being frequented by several thousand people. Am I trespassing? No. I'm being invited into a building. There was a riot, but largely things had calmed down, and now everyone was just standing around taking selfies. That's why a lot of the people that entered did not face charges. There was no breach of the interior of the Capitol. There was never a moment in which that was not defensible anyway. And we have police here who supposedly, in the face of an insurrection, that's what it's been called by Liz Cheney and their chairperson and everyone else, in the face of an insurrection, they stood down. Well, that's very interesting. That's not normal behavior by police. You may have noticed in the United States, over-policing tends to be the problem, literally identified by the left wing of politics that
Boom.
are very, very pro-back the blue, thin blue line when it comes to the D.C. Capitol Police. Any other police force in the country, especially the elected local sheriffs, they think of them as a bunch of evil racists who just want to profile black people. Here, of course, the person that they shot was white and wearing a MAGA hat, so they're stand-up guys. They didn't review the footage, though. They delegated that to staffers. So the J6, I suppose it's to create plausible deniability. They're like, okay, look, we know that there is exculpatory material here. We're being hyperbolic. We're crafting a narrative of insurrection and coup that's not even real. If we get implicated in that, let's say Trump gets back into the presidency in 24, or the footage gets released to Tucker Carlson, or
Plausible deniability is a Cheney Rumsfeld, George Bush Jr. That was way back then. So Democrats have definitely, grasped plausible deniability, and it's bullshit. Pardon my language.
is made publicly available, and our narrative cracks. We'll shift the blame to our staffers. We were misled. We're like Naomi Wolf. We apologize for being taken in by the hoopla. We thought we were doing our job. We never bothered to look at the footage, though.
Although Naomi Wolf wrote an amazing apology. So Styx is tough. He ain't going to take it. He's thinking that's just words, aftermath words. So, but if I suggest you look up Naomi Wolf and check out her apology. I believe it was well written, and it was human. It was civil. it was citizenship. And I believe Democrats won't look for that from the other team, but our team does look for that type of script. And I really, really thought she did. I think she picked out like 4 things from, like, the 4 things through the Donald Trump era, plus January 6th.
We've decided to fire a few staffers that were selectively editing things. They never let us know about this other batch here that shows a bunch of people peacefully milling around as though those pictures and pieces of video weren't being live broadcast by 100 fuckers inside of the Capitol, so that we have all angles of basically everything that went on that entire day. From the outside to the inside, from the moment that Trump's speech blocks away ended and the march to the Capitol began, we have everything. Literally everything. But we're being told not to believe our eyes and ears. We're being told to believe that initial pre-constructed narrative that was meant to be hyperbolic and politically angled. It's not meant to display the truth to the American public. Right. The truth is that there was no insurrection that day. There was a riot. There were acts of violence. Some people died. Notably, a couple of protesters actually dying on that specific day, as opposed to dying later on of potentially unrelated things. Sicknick died of a couple of strokes. You can chalk that up to on-the-job stress. Well, I mean...
All right, so he's saying it was strokes. He does way more research. Styx does way more research than I do. I wish I could do it. And he's very smart. He's like way up there in the smart category.
He got so shaken by this insurrection that he dropped dead. Can you prove that? Would you be able to actually prove that and get damages under nominal conditions? Probably not. You wouldn't be able to. But finding out that they didn't even look at the footage in large part themselves and delegated it to unelected third parties.
All right, so we'll leave it there, because most of the videos I show you, I always like to leave it where you can go back, check out the link, watch the whole thing again, really take it in, and hopefully watch it to the end and like and subscribe to these people. All I can say right now is what I think happened was there was a plan, and they knew. Now, my evidence, the easy evidence, is if you saw pre-election the amount of people that turned out for Donald J. Trump, it was extraordinary. If you thought 2016 turnouts were something, I have friends. I saw it from afar, but here in Wildwood at our convention center, we had Donald Trump speak, and it was you had to be blocks away. It was huge. People were outside camping for 3 days, and this is for the 2020 election, pre-2020 election. So when you have people that see, whether it's me, even Democrats, seeing the amount of turnout that was on Donald Trump's side, and then you look at 46, quid pro quo Joe, and you see that he's not even going out, and then you see Fox News drop Arizona to Biden with only, I think it was 13 to 18%. I forget what it was. That's when I knew Fox dropped Trump to begin with. So on election night, with 18% in at most, they're calling it for Arizona. So you get all this stuff. You get all the hoaxes that they put out, whether it was the dossier, whether it was drinking bleach, you name it. I think Scott Adams has like 21 of them now that are provable hoaxes. He knows that there might even be more, but if you can't prove them, so what? But there are hoaxes. They did the hoaxes on the kids. I'm drawing a blank. The kids that were staring at the Indian chanting. That was a hoax. So Rittenhouse was a hoax. It was real, don't get me wrong, but the way they portrayed him, that was hoaxful. So I'm just letting you know that we just saw all this in the middle of, I would say, in the first third of this year. In my opinion, the Democrats just put it out wholeheartedly. They just let it all out in the open. They're doing it right in front of you. And that's going to create Because they know now if you're going to go to the White House or Congress Hall and have a riot, they know now that the more they piss off the beehive, it's going to really civically possibly ramp up, which I please don't do that. We can beat this by changing the system. We don't have to be violent. There doesn't have to be racism anymore. It shouldn't be there. There shouldn't be the first of this, the first of that. Because all that does is remind people that basically there's different races, but we're Americans. So you can't have that. Was there racism? Of course. You can't look in the past. You have to work the new system forward. So on that note, definitely take care of your veterans. I love our vets. Gretchen over at Coda Vets. You can easily find her at codavets.com or at CodaVets on Twitter. And on that note, kiss, love, hug a veteran. They do it for you. They've done it for you. They've died for you. And no matter what, they're trying to protect what they believe is our constitutional rights, freedoms, and Bill of Rights. So I love you guys. Take care, and I will see you on the other side.